Hi, I'm Cash, and welcome back to Cash Talks Football, where I break down all the goals scored in the Premier League. Using my over 20 plus years coaching experience and doing a vast amount of other things in the old football-y world, I'll give you a different insight and actually tell you what's going on in the game of football, instead of making up stuff like the idiots on TV do. So right now I'm going to, and the ex-pros who generally don't know anything about football, ex-pros crack me up. I played the game. I played Red Dead Redemption 2. It doesn't mean I can code, make, and understand how to make that entire game. Just because you played the game, it doesn't mean that you can coach, put together and understand the structure of how to make a good, decent football team. It's completely bizarre to me. And it's amazing that people think that. It's always hilarious. Right. So I'm going to point out a couple of little problems with Man United before I get into the goals. I want to show you this. I caught this, and this happens quite a lot. Got a nice little run in behind here and a decent ball. Now, United's got lots and lots of problems as a football team. I mean, loads. But some of the things they don't have problems with is pace up front and the ability to find them with quality passing. They've got Brat Face and they've got Christian Eriksen, who shouldn't be in the side, quite frankly, because he's just not good enough anymore. I've yelled about this player for years. 4 years ago, yeah, maybe. 5 years ago, maybe, but not now. It's just because his name's Christian Eriksen, people think he's as good like he was at Tottenham. He's not. He's not the same player anymore. But he does still have the ability to find a good pass like a lot of United players. Now, here's the issue. You see the player running in here, and you see Højlund pointing out some other nonsense, not doing a thing. As soon as this ball's played, this guy should be a striker, right? You can tell strikers because they're selfish and they run into the box expecting the ball always to be given to them. And watch what happens. He's watched the ball travel over him, travel past to him as the ball's come into the box here. Now, okay, this guy's still got a lot to do, but he needs to be on his bike. This guy he's not. As this ball's received here, right, Bosch, he's still walking. He still hasn't got on his bike and tried to make any sort of effort whatsoever. So when it comes down to it, he's got no options in the box because his striker is still walking. He went for a bit of a run, couldn't get there in time. How far would he have got? Maybe he would have got to here. Maybe he could have found him with a pass. Maybe he would have only been to here. But at least he would have made the effort getting into the box because he wants to score a goal. That means there's a couple of things. That means he's been making the runs all season and no one's passed to him. So he's just given up making the runs. That happens with a lot of strikers. There was a guy that I was pointing out. Oh, he did this back in the day. What was his name? Oh, Andy Carroll. Andy Carroll became a bad striker because when he changed football clubs, he was making all these runs and no one was passing to him anymore. So he stopped making these runs. He stopped becoming a good striker because he wasn't in those in those areas where he was getting goals or scoring goals, because every time he made the run, no one passed him the ball anymore. So slowly but surely, you stop making the runs. And that may have been what's happened here. Or this might be in his core DNA because he's still young and he hasn't made that run into the box. So that means he's not really an out-and-out goal scorer. And then the ball gets played across and he's nowhere to be seen. Now just imagine if he was about here, he'd have been sprinting onto that and he may have nicked himself a goal. But he didn't even move from where he was originally when the pass was played. That shows not just about Højlund. Oh, stop picking on Højlund. No, it just shows you the disconnect of what's really going on at United on their front three. Quality pass, quality running behind, and for no reason whatsoever. Absolutely shocking. But let's get on to the goal. Now, before we do, I want to point out this as well. This is just shocking. Harry Maguire's passing it into Kobe Mainoo here. Now, is Kobe Mainoo a good player? No, not really. Is he okay? Yeah, he's okay. Remember, a lot of players are only okay in the Premier League. People think they're really good. No, because they're in a bad team and he's 19 and he's running around and he's doing some okay things. Here, he doesn't want to be receiving the ball because he's probably not this player and he's probably not up to the skill level to receive the ball between two players that are going to mug him. And the quality of pass must be perfect. The quality of pass must be so that he can actually either just let it run and go into the space behind him here because there's enough power on it, okay? Or he's can actually do a really decent turn because there's enough power on the ball towards him. Harry Maguire is setting him up here with a hospital ball, Bosch, into his feet there to get tackled. And the pass isn't quite good enough. You can see he's got to wait for it a little bit for him to come into him, and that gives time for him to get mugged right here. I don't know what Maguire's thinking of passing the ball basically into the middle of the field, into a young kiddie, into such a dangerous area. Terrible, absolutely terrible. Gets mugged, loses the ball. They go for a counter-attack. They don't score, but it's pretty close. And that just comes from why are you passing the ball in such a pressurised situation? And probably the reason why is because his left back was on Amazy up the side there, not giving him an outlet, making it easier for him. And again, that's because they don't know their patterns and systems of play, because they probably really don't have any at the moment in Man United. As I said, let's get on to the goal. Now, you also have to understand when you're talking about how the goal scored Did the other team give you the goal, or did you score the goal? That's very important, because if the other team gives you the goal, that means you've pressurised them, you've done all these other things for them to make a mistake, and they've helped you give you the goal. Or you're just brilliant and did a couple of things and smashed the ball on the net box. Those kind of goals, when you score goals, is very few and far between. A lot of the times, I'd say probably at least 65-70% of the time, the other team gives you the goal, whether they give you the penalty, they give you the free kick, because you've done things that are correct. In this situation, this goalkeeper here, he kind of does the right thing, but this is so important of what happens next. When this guy's received the ball here, he doesn't really have that many options to pass to. You can see that he sees these two players here, but both of these players, when this keeper received the ball, haven't moved. They're stagnant. That means they don't want the ball. That means they're not ready for the ball. They're not really doing anything. The only one really showing for the ball is him and the keeper. You don't want to pass it to the keeper because this guy is sitting there waiting for that. He can't wait for you to do that. The other issue is, you've got a bit of space on the ball. You could probably take a little bit of a turn. Your mate's off, assuming that, because you can see he's already starting his running behind. He's thinking, oh, right, okay, yeah, we're on here. And there's a couple of ways you can do that. Either make the turn yourself or give it to the only person that really wants the ball, which is to this guy. Because as soon as you give it to him, he's going to ping it out to him and away you go. He chooses not to do any of those options. Takes a little touch. See his touch, takes him away from that, and now puts him back. Now, here's the other issue. As he does take that bad touch and brings this player back, he can go back to the keeper now, because this guy's come further in. But what he does is he misses out a player. And I use this phrase all the time, you're missing out a player. You cannot go straight through there with missing out that player there. Because if that mistake between there, you two can deal with it, right? If you put it between there and the mistake happens in this area here, there's no player that can recover from your mistake. Absolutely none. So when he does make this mistake, there is Mini Rat. He's lightning quick. He's not a very good footballer, but tell you what, one thing he's got is mad amount of pace. And he just runs in and he nicks this ball. Bosh, off he goes. Now it's just a foot race. It's just from simple not knowing what to do, where to go, passing out the back. And they should have known, because if they watched United play recently, they basically play with kind of 5 at the back and 5 up front. No real midfield. The 5 up front press like anything, and they do have pace and they can catch you. And there's a bit of talent between one or two of them. And that's what ends up happening here. Mini Ratface has got a lot to do, though. He's still got to go a long way, and he's still got to have a good finish. One of the things I want to point out, though, is because he's running with the ball. Yes, there's a difference between running with the ball and dribbling with the ball. He basically pokes the ball in front of him and goes after it. That's where his strength really is, because he can't really dribble with the ball. He makes mistakes, and there's that classic meme of him dribbling the ball out of bounds and then blaming the linesman for not giving him a throw in, right? So he just basically pokes the ball and goes after it. Bosh, and he goes after it. And then when this guy comes in, he does exactly the same. Pokes the ball and goes after it. And the defenders just cannot catch him. Quality little finish into the corner. I still think the keeper should have done better. But overall, Burnley have played themselves into that mistake. They've made that happen for themselves. It's not really, well, I say it's not really acceptable, but it is Burnley. I'd like to say they know better, but they've been doing it all season. Let's get on to the penalty. It's a clear penalty, but this is where I get really annoyed. It was against Wolves at the start of the season when Onana did the exact same thing to Wolves, but probably a lot worse. Wolves have probably been the team in the Premier League most affected by VAR for not getting decisions. You should see some of the shockers that they've not got. But this ultimately does end up being a pen, because he does punch him in the face. It doesn't matter what you do. Well, unless you're Doku, apparently you are allowed to ninja kick people in the side, but you aren't allowed to punch people in the face. Doesn't matter if you win the ball or not. And of course, they get a pen. Slots it into the corner nicely taken penalty. United dropped 2 points again. I think they were a home as well, which makes it even worse. But there we go. I will be doing all the goals that our teams have conceded or scored. I'm going to put a whole mashup together at the end of the season, so you can put all the Man United goals and all the Arsenal goals that they've scored in one big long video, and all the ones that they've conceded in one big long video. You can see my analysis on all of them, and you'll be shocked about how many goals are very, very similar that they concede or that they score. Other than that, I'll see you next time on Cash Talks Football.